I've been with DLA for 33 years, and I was on campus up at Weber State University here in the Ogden area, and saw a job application for an internship, which I was studying logistics, and was at Defense Depot Ogden, and it was for procurement, and it was a internship while you went to school. And so I hired in as a GS4 internist or stay in school program, and I worked 20 hours a week and went to school, and that's where it all began. It's been a long time, but from what I remember, yes, they were kind of separate buildings. Some of them were a little bit like warehouses, but for the most part, you know, you just had different parts of DLA in their different buildings, and I just remember for us on the transportation side, we were over, you know, in our own little area, and again, it was very engaged, you know, as far as very different from today. DSS is deployed at all depots across DLA right now, soon to be replaced by WMS as we go forward. But when I hired on, we were using a system called DWASP, and DWASP was a fun little system that ran the depots that DLA had at that time, including Memphis and Defense Depot Ogden, a couple that are gone now, of course. And as part of, I think it was called DMRD 902, something like that, it consolidated, took all the warehousing from all the services and gave that to DLA, and at the same time charged DLA with implementing a standard system across all of the various services warehouse components. And so not only did DLA take over the warehousing of all these places like Hill Air Force Base, where I'm at now, and several Army depots and Marine and Navy and so forth, but also we had to come up with a standard system. And so we were, of course, partial to DWASP, but a program office was formed that Jim Sanchez headed up back then from Virginia there, or I can't remember if it was Cameron Station or Fort Belvoir when that transition was made, and we fell under that, and but we chose the Army system, and decided, and I believe it was called AOD mod, but I might be mistaken, but we chose that system to be the standard system, and then we took that over in DLA plus a lot of their programming resources, and that's how the New Cumberland group came into the point, because up to that point, the people at Defense Depot Ogden were the IT people were the main sole people developing IT for distribution across DLA. And when the Army system was chosen, we took a large chunk of people and brought them in, modified AOD mod together between the folks here in Utah and the people in New Cumberland, and then deployed that across the world. And it was tough, because not only were we deploying a system, but we were also you know, changing the way the depot did things according to how the Air Force liked it. And so it was a battle. It was a very, very tough sell politically and technology wise to come in as DLA and bring our own system and take have the people start working for DLA and have them start using a DLA developed system. And but it accomplished what we had to do. We had to change the system a little bit to accommodate uniqueness at the various depots, so that, you know, acceptability was brought in. That's why DSS isn't exactly as standard as people might hope it would be, but it was mostly to accommodate the sell of being able to take care of these depots that DLA took over at that time. I brought some things that I'd saved over the years with me here, and everything was paper back, you know, in the late 80s and 90s. As you can see, this is a printout of a batch job that was run, and then we eventually went to smaller paper, right? We just printed gobs of, paper, and the programs that people wrote in the early days, they would keep a paper copy of that on their desk. And so if they needed to debug it, they would go through, a couple inches thick of a paper to do that. When a batch job ran, which you really hardly hear of anymore, it spit out just a ton of data like you saw there, and that's all gone, right? Also, I have we communicated, through publications and not so much the internet. Here's my Dimensions 40th anniversary of DLA, and here we're celebrating the 60th anniversary. But we all got, our copy of this, and it was kind of fun. But that, we just communicated through paper. Now we hardly use any paper. Right? We signed everything, by hand. Now we sign everything, through a digital signature. Some of the other things that changed, the old computer systems, they use reels, magnetic reels, and then, in my time, we were still using floppy disks to plug in the computer, which then went to a little bit harder floppy disk, the 3.5 inch, until we don't really need any of that. We have some USBs, but also, just to give you an idea, when I hired on somebody, I think his name was Bill Young, out of Columbus. He was one of the original people that was part of DLA's formation of their IT back in '64, and he wrote an article the year I hired on, and he said that that the computer that was running, in the beginning of DLA, it was so small. It had a meg of memory and maybe 25 megs of hard space, that it used. But when I hired on, they had a computer that the main computer that DLA was running had 128 megs of memory on it. And if you combine that with 3 other mainframes and 5 other Goulds, they were called, then you got a total disk space or hard drive space or whatever you want to call it. These are massive computers running in a huge computer room. And you got 1.8 gig is what he said. All those added up together provided a storage space of 1.8 gig. So we've got 125 meg memory and 1.8 gig of space in this huge computer room, with all these computers running. And our iPhones we carry in our pockets are exponentially bigger than that. We're all carrying, in our pockets something massively bigger than DLA was using when I hired on to run the computing power for all of our information systems. So that's a change, right? That's a big change.